The mission briefing was classified at the highest levels. Infiltrate ISIS, gain the trust of their leadership, and extract intelligence on their planned attacks against American soil. It required someone who could speak perfect Arabic, understand Islamic theology deeply enough to fool extremists, and possess the psychological strength to maintain a cover identity while surrounded by killers. The CIA had searched for months for the right candidate. Male operatives couldn't access the women-only networks where much of the planning occurred. Western agents couldn't convincingly adopt fundamentalist personas. They needed someone authentic, someone whose faith was real, someone who could turn that faith into a weapon against those who perverted it. The problem was, in post-9/11 America, finding a Muslim willing to spy on other Muslims was nearly impossible. Until someone suggested Zara Hassan, the State Department translator who'd been fighting Islamophobia her entire career. The woman whose loyalty had been questioned by everyone was about to prove she was more American than any of them. Welcome to Warriors, where we honor the heroes who take on impossible missions. Before diving into this deep cover operations story, tell us in the comments which city around the world you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, subscribe and help us honor the silent guardians. Every morning when Zara Hassan arrived at the State Department, she experienced the same routine, being held up a bit too long at the security gate, having her ID card examined a bit too thoroughly, receiving slightly distant treatment from colleagues. 32-year-old Zara had spent the last 11 years of her life trying to prove she was American. Everything changed after September 11th. Working in a government office as a woman wearing hijab meant constantly being in a state of having to prove herself. Zara was born in Michigan, raised in Detroit. She studied international relations at Georgetown University, got her master's in Middle Eastern Studies. She spoke perfect Arabic and understood Farsi as well. As someone who spoke 3 languages and understood 2 cultures, she was a perfect translator, analyst for the State Department. But in post-9/11 America, speaking perfect Arabic was cause for suspicion. Zara's office was on the 3rd floor of the department, a small, windowless room. She translated an average of 50 to 60 documents daily. Diplomatic correspondence, intelligence reports, media analysis. She loved her job and did it well, but she always knew she was being talked about behind her back. Why does she speak Arabic so perfectly? Is she really trustworthy? Does her family have connections? These questions were never asked directly, but Zara heard them all. She especially had problems with the new security guard, Dan Rodriguez. Rodriguez would check Zara's bag every day. Other employees only needed to show ID, but Zara was always subjected to extra security procedures. Still, Zara endured patiently, because she knew America's true values and believed in them. She believed that one day prejudices would be overcome. That day would come sooner than expected. November 14th, 3:30 p.m. Zara was translating routine documents when her secure phone rang. Very few people knew this number. Ms. Hassan, this is Special Agent Sarah Mitchell from the CIA. We'd like to meet with you. Zara paused. CIA. Her heart began to race. Was this an investigation? Or... Of course, she said, trying to keep her voice calm. About what? We can't discuss it over the phone. Can we meet tomorrow at noon at Cafe Luna in DuPont Circle? Civilian clothes. Zara agreed. She couldn't sleep all night. What could they want from her? When she went to Cafe Luna the next day, a professional-looking woman in her 40s was waiting for her. Sarah Mitchell, with short hair, sharp eyes, looked like an experienced agent. Ms. Hassan, "Thank you for coming," said Mitchell. "I'll get straight to the point. We want to offer you a very special, very classified, and very dangerous mission." "What kind of mission?" "ISIS infiltration operation." Zara barely managed not to drop her coffee cup. "I'm sorry. What did you say?" Mitchell looked around, then continued, in a lower voice. "ISIS is planning coordinated attacks in America. We learned this from internal intelligence sources, but we don't know the details. We need to infiltrate their inner circle. And you chose me because you're the perfect profile. You speak perfect Arabic, you're knowledgeable about Islamic theology, and—" Mitchell paused. "And I'm already Muslim," Zara completed, "so I won't arouse suspicion." "Exactly. But this isn't just a cover story. This is very dangerous. If your identity is exposed—" "I die," Zara completed. Mitchell nodded. "It could take 2 years. Minimal contact with family. Completely different identity. Psychologically very difficult." Zara thought. For 2 years she'd been trying to prove she was American. Now her country was asking her to do the most American thing possible, risk her life to stop terrorists. "I accept," she said. The next 6 months were an intensive training period for Zara. She received special operations training at the CIA's secret facility, the Farm, in Virginia. First task, completely new identity. Zara Hassan no longer existed. Now she was Maryam al-Amrikiya, a Muslim woman who had lived in America but become ideologically radicalized. Her trainers taught Zara ISIS ideology. They made her watch propaganda videos, read extremist texts, explained radicalization processes. Every hour made Zara physically sick, but it was necessary for the operation. Psychological training was also difficult. Zara had to forget her real identity and enter Miriam's mindset. She hid family photos, changed daily habits, even changed how she prayed. The hardest part was ideological training. Learning ISIS's distorted interpretation of Islam made Zara question her own faith. "How am I going to do this?" she asked her trainer, Dr. Reynolds, one day. "I have to embrace their lies, but these are the complete opposite of my religion." "That's exactly why it's you," said Reynolds. "Because you know real Islam, you can recognize their lies, and that recognition will ensure your operation's success." By the end of the 6th month, Zara had become Maryam outwardly. First contact was online. Zara began communicating with ISIS recruiters using fake social media accounts. She had created a profile of someone living in America, but ideologically evolving toward sympathizer status. Initially, they were very careful. Zara was tested, questioned, and monitored for months. But her story was consistent and her performance convincing. In the 9th month came the first physical contact. She was asked to go to the Syria border via Turkey. The CIA was very worried at this stage because Zara would now be outside their protection. "This is your last chance," said Mitchell. "You can back out." "No," said Zara. "We've come too far." In Turkey, she was introduced to her husband, actually Omar, an ISIS member from London. This fake marriage would enable her passage to Syria. Omar was in his 30s, completely ideologically radicalized, but intelligent. He constantly tested Zara. "Why do you want to kill Americans?" he asked one day. Zara had to speak words of hatred. Every word hurt her soul, but she needed to survive. Life in Syria was harsh. ISIS-controlled areas were in terrible condition. Zara lived in a house in Raqqa with other Muhajir women. Here her real training began. She started working in ISIS's women's wing, propaganda production, training newcomers, even child education. Zara tried to relay information she found to the CIA daily, but communication was very difficult. She could only send messages very carefully from internet cafes once a week. Important information began coming in. ISIS's cell networks in America, financial sources, attack planning. But Zara hadn't yet reached the highest level. At the beginning of the second year, a big opportunity came. The daughter of Abu Abdullah, one of Abu Bakr's advisors, was getting married, and Zara was on the guest list. This wedding was one of the rare opportunities when ISIS leadership would gather together, and Zara would be there. The wedding would last 3 days. In Raqqa's largest hall, ISIS's top figures would gather. Zara couldn't miss this opportunity. Day 1, general introductions and social activities. Zara observed carefully. Who was talking to whom? What groups existed? How power dynamics worked? Day 2, male and female groups had separate activities. Zara was in the women's group, but could hear the men's plans. Day 3, the main wedding ceremony. And the most important conversation Zara heard. Abu Abdullah's son-in-law Ahmed mentioned future plans in his speech. Soon, our witnesses in America will act. Coordinated operations during Christmas time. Zara listened with her heart racing. Details were few, but she understood. Attacks were planned in America during Christmas. But Zara needed more information. After the wedding, Zara befriended Ahmed's wife, Fatma. Fatma was naive, but knowledgeable. She knew a lot about her husband's work. Ahmed is very excited, Fatma said one day. He's been planning for weeks for the America operation. What kind of operation? Zara asked carefully. Shopping malls. During Christmas shopping, the busiest times. Zara's blood froze. Mall attacks. Christmas season. Thousands of innocent civilians targeted. Which cities? She risked asking. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, Miami. Same time, same hour. Zara now had enough information. But how would she get this information to the CIA? Zara caught her chance during post-wedding gatherings. She found an opportunity to go to an internet cafe and used emergency protocol. Her message to the CIA was brief. Christmas season. 5 cities. Malls. Coordinated. Urgent. But immediately after sending the message, Ahmed's men raided the internet cafe. Someone suspected Zara. "Who are you?" Ahmed shouted. "What were you doing here?" Zara tried to stay calm. "I was talking to my family. My family in America." "What family?" "You're a muhajir. You have no family." Zara was caught. Her identity was exposed. Ahmed's men grabbed Zara. But Zara was prepared. She had learned escape techniques during CIA training. In the chaotic environment, Zara managed to escape. She ran through the streets for hours, heading toward the Turkish border. When Turkish border forces caught her, Zara was finally safe. Based on Zara's intelligence, the FBI launched emergency operations, simultaneous operations in 5 American cities. After an 18-month covert mission, the FBI captured 5 different ISIS cells. The attacks they had planned were stopped. Thousands of innocent people were saved. But officially, no one knew Zara's contribution. When she returned to America, Zara had changed greatly. The double life she'd lived for 2 years had deeply affected her. The CIA offered her the civilian equivalent of the Medal of Honor, but Zara refused. "I just did my duty," she said. "But what you did was a great sacrifice," said Mitchell. "No," said Zara. "I defended America's true values. I stood against those who perverted my faith. For me, this wasn't sacrifice. It was responsibility." Zara returned to her job at the State Department. Same office, same work. But now, no one questioned her loyalty, because now everyone knew The greatest patriots are sometimes the most suspected people. Dan Rodriguez no longer checked Zara's bag. In fact, he now greeted her respectfully every morning, saying, "Good morning, Ms. Hassan." Zara smiled because she had proven that America could protect her while respecting her faith. And perhaps most importantly, she had shown that real Islam was synonymous not with terrorism, but with fighting terrorism. This story was brought to you by Warriors. Our question for you: have you ever been misunderstood because of your faith or identity, but later proved you were right? Share your experience in the comments. If you believe stories like this need to be told, subscribe. We believe the greatest heroes are usually the most misunderstood people. Thanks for being part of our community. See you in the next story.